Have you ever noticed something interesting about life after 60 or 65? People don't always complain about pain first, they complain about something deeper. I feel tired all the time. Not just physical tiredness, but a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. And then we start assuming maybe it's age. But what if I told you sometimes it is not age that is draining us, it is the way we are living in age? Let's reflect together on the top 6 reasons why seniors are always tired. Not as a diagnosis, but as a mirror. 1. Carrying emotional baggage from the past, there is a kind of tiredness that does not come from walking long distances, but from walking repeatedly in the same memories of the past. Many seniors believe their fatigue is physical. But if you observe closely, their shoulders are not only carrying the weight of age, they are carrying the weight of unfinished emotional stories. Life has a strange way of storing memories. The mind does not always archive them neatly, it replays them like an old film on repeat. A harsh word spoken decades ago, a relationship that didn't heal, a decision that still feels wrong in hindsight, a moment where they wish they had spoken differently, acted differently, chosen differently. And here is the silent truth: regret is emotionally expensive. It drains energy without moving the body even an inch. You may see someone sitting quietly on a chair, but inside their mind, they are revisiting entire chapters of life. And each revisit is not neutral, it carries emotion again. Pain is re experienced, guilt is reactivated, sadness is refreshed. This is why many seniors feel tired even after resting. The body has slept, but the mind has not. The tragedy is that most of this emotional baggage serves no present purpose. The past cannot be rewritten, yet it continues to demand attention as if it still holds power. But life gently asks a question: are you living your present, or are you emotionally time traveling every day? Because the truth is simple but powerful: what you keep revisiting, you keep reliving. And what you keep reliving, you keep exhausting yourself with. Letting go is not forgetting, it is simply refusing to carry yesterday into today's walk. And when that happens, something beautiful shifts. The body may still be old, but the heart becomes lighter. And a lighter heart always feels less tired. 2. Lack of purpose after retirement. There is a hidden transition that many people underestimate. Retirement is not just the end of work, it is the loss of structure, identity, and daily meaning. For decades, life follows a rhythm. Wake up with purpose, go somewhere with responsibility, solve problems, meet people who need you, make decisions that matter. Even stress had meaning because it was connected to contribution. Then suddenly, one day, everything becomes quiet. No deadlines, no urgency, no one waiting for your decision. The calendar becomes empty, and slowly, the identity built over years begins to fade. And here is the subtle truth: human beings are not designed for endless inactivity. We are designed for meaningful engagement. We don't just need rest, we need relevance. When purpose disappears, time does not feel peaceful, it feels heavy. Days become long, not because there is too much to do, but because there is nothing that feels meaningful enough to do. This is where emotional fatigue quietly enters. The mind starts asking questions it never asked before. Am I still needed? Do I still matter? What is my role now? And when these questions go unanswered, energy begins to drop, not because the body is weak, but because the spirit feels underused. Even simple tasks begin to feel tiring because they are no longer connected to a larger sense of contribution. The mind, once active and engaged, starts slowing down, not from rest but from lack of direction. Purpose is not just about productivity, it is about meaning. It is about waking up and feeling that your presence still adds value to someone or something. Without purpose, rest becomes boredom. And boredom, over time, becomes emotional fatigue. But when even small purpose is restored, teaching someone, guiding someone, creating something, helping someone, the energy returns. Not instantly, but naturally. Because the soul does not retire, it only waits to be re engaged. 3. Overthinking about family and future. If there is one habit that silently drains emotional energy in later years, it is overthinking disguised as care. At this stage of life, love for family becomes deeper, but sometimes it becomes heavier too. The mind begins to constantly orbit around loved ones. Are they okay? Are they making the right decisions? Will they struggle without me? Am I being a burden? What if something goes wrong? On the surface, this feels like responsibility. But internally, it becomes mental overwork. Because worry is not passivate, is active imagination of worst case scenarios. And the brain does not differentiate between real events and imagined stress. Every worry produces emotional strain. So, even while sitting quietly, the mind is running simulations of problems that have not happened. And that continuous simulation consumes energy like background apps draining a phone battery. Over time, this creates invisible exhaustion. The body is still, but the mind is constantly busy. And that creates a strange contradiction: rest without recovery. There is also another layer of love turning into control through thought. When we cannot control outcomes, we try to control them through thinking. But thinking does not change outcomes, it only changes internal peace. And ironically, the more one tries to protect family through worry, the more one loses personal peace. True love does not demand constant mental supervision. It learns to trust, to release, to bless rather than overmonitor. Because children do not need parents who are mentally exhausted from worrying. They need parents who are emotionally calm, enough to guide when needed and let go when necessary. When overthinking reduces, something shifts immediately, the mind becomes quieter. And in that silence, energy returns. Not because life becomes easier, but because the mind stops fighting imaginary battles. 4. Poor sleep due to mental noise. Sleep is often misunderstood as simply closing the eyes and resting the body. But real sleep is deeper, it is the silence of the mind. Many seniors lie down physically exhausted yet mentally active. The body says stop, but the mind continues its journey. It travels through conversations that were never completed, arguments that were never resolved, decisions that were never clarified, and concerns about tomorrow that have no immediate solution. This creates what we can call mental noise, an internal background conversation that never turns off. And the problem with mental noise is that it does not feel loud, but it is constant. It is like a fan running in the background all night. You eventually stop noticing it consciously, but your body never fully rests because of it. So even after hours in bed, sleep is shallow. Dreams are interrupted. Waking up feels like continuing a day that never properly ended. Over time, this creates chronic fatigue, not from lack of time in bed, but from lack of deep rest. The mind becomes trained to stay alert even in rest, and this alertness slowly becomes habitual tiredness. But sleep quality is not just biological, it is emotional. A calm mind sleeps deeper than a tired mind full of thoughts. When the mind is allowed to settle, when concerns are gently postponed instead of rehearsed, sleep becomes restorative again. Because rest is not just physical inactivity, it is mental surrender. And the greatest gift one can give themselves before sleep is not solutions to every problem, but permission to pause thinking until tomorrow. 5. Loneliness, even in a full house. One of the most misunderstood forms of fatigue is emotional loneliness. Many seniors are not physically alone. In fact, they may live in houses filled with family. Children may be nearby. Grandchildren may visit. Conversations may happen. Yet something still feels missing. Because loneliness is not about the number of people around you. It is about the quality of emotional connection with those people. A short exchange is not the same as being heard. Presence is not the same as attention. Routine conversation is not the same as meaningful dialogue. And when emotional connection reduces, the heart begins to feel invisible. Not physically abandoned, but emotionally unacknowledged. This invisibility creates deep fatigue. Because humans are not only physical beings, we are relational beings. We need to feel seen, not just served. When a senior feels that their words are not deeply listened to or their experiences are no longer valued, something inside slowly withdraws. Not dramatically, but silently. And that withdrawal becomes emotional tiredness, not the tiredness of doing too much, but the tiredness of feeling too little. Even presence without connection can feel like absence. But the moment even one genuine conversation happens where someone truly listens without rushing, without interrupting, something revives inside. Because connection is not luxury, it is emotional oxygen. 6. Forgetting self care and joy as life progresses. Many people unconsciously shift from living for themselves to living entirely for others. This shift often begins with responsibility and love. But over time, it becomes a pattern where personal joy is slowly removed from daily life. Hobbies are dropped. Interests are postponed. Curiosity is replaced with duty. And slowly, life becomes a sequence of obligations rather than experiences. And here is the subtle truth: duty sustains life, but joy energizes it. Without joy, even simple routines begin to feel heavy. Not because they are difficult, but because they are emotionally empty. Self care is not selfishness, it is maintenance of the inner self. And when that maintenance stops, emotional energy declines. A person who never does anything purely for themselves begins to feel like they are only existing for others, not living for themselves. And that creates deep fatigue, not physical, but existential. But when small joys return, listening to music, talking to a friend, walking without purpose, remembering old hobbies, energy slowly comes back. Because joy is not entertainment, it is restoration. And a life with joy, even in old age, never feels fully tired, it feels alive.